Hello, this is Michael from Mornings with Michael. It's no longer morning, but it is the Mornings with Michael segment for information and educational purposes only. So without further ado, let's get to the news. Wall Street Journal's Nick Timiraos reported, I'm not sure if I pronounced Nick's last name correctly, Fed officials aren't likely to entertain serious conversations about when to cut rates this week and potentially several months, unless the economy weakens more than expected. Still, they don't think rates need to remain at their current economically restrictive setting indefinitely. Officials' updated rate projections to be released Wednesday after the meeting will show that most expect to cut rates sometime next year. I believe it's between March and May, most people are predicting. Sector news breakdown and investor group. Let me just share the screen here. Before we do that, let me show the S&P 500 heat map. The big seven tech are becoming like a yo-yo. They were up Friday, they were down Thursday, now they're down again on Monday. So all the big tech seem to be down. Oil is kind of muted. Healthcare, except for Eli Lilly, which was kind of leading the charge, is down. Consumer defensive is down. Financials are up. A lot of the other issues are all kind of in the green. Software, which has been leading the issue. All the other semiconductors. Wow, look at this. Broadcom up 9%. That'll get your attention. And with that, let's go back to our charts. Did look like at Ethereum and Bitcoin on Friday, but they pulled back on Friday and now they're up. Speaking of yo-yos, up and down, but they're up today. Ethereum is up 5.16, and big gap down on Bitcoin today, down up 8.5%. Look at on the other trust. Yep, about the same, fallen between its 10 and 20-day moving averages. So back to the news. Macy's Investor Group has made a $5.8 billion offer to buy Macy's. The Wall Street Journal reported Arkhouse Management and Brigade Capital Management on December 1st submitted a proposal to acquire the shares they don't already own for $21 a share. And that is why we got a big move in Macy's today, up almost 20%. Domino's Pizza downgraded to neutral from overweight at Piper Sandler. And Domino's Pizza says, here's a slice, and we're not moving at all from here. So strong results after being downgraded, actually went up slightly. Gildan Activewear announces leadership changes. Vince Tyra appointed as president and CEO, Glenn Chamandy leaving. And yes, a big gap down and closes much lower, down 11%. Kraft Heinz upgraded to outperform from inline and Evercore ISI. We got a gap up and closes on the high, up 1.5%. Pretty good volume. Got over here. That was the day that saying people were jumping in. Highest volume since the base, right over here. And we got a prior notice right over here. We got a kind of like a shelf formation formatting. Mark Minervini's favorite and mine as well. It's good enough for Mark. It's good enough for me. And then we got a gap up the following day. So This was your news that something was happening in crafts. Wing downgraded to hold from buy at benchmark. And they haven't budged much, down about 0.5%. Not much to speak of. Onto energy, industrials, and materials. Parsons awarded $21 million US ACE contract for munitions response geophysics. And they didn't really react too much. Maybe the news was a few days earlier. W.R. Berkeley said to pay a special cash dividend at 50 cents per share, and they are gapping up and holding at the high. So they're up 1.86% into healthcare. Cigna announced additional $10 billion stock buyback, bringing its total share repurchases to 11.3 billion. Separately, the Wall Street Journal reported that Cigna and Humana. Look at that move by Cigna Group. Wow. We've been telling you in the news for the past few days that Cigna was one of the top stocks moving forward in the year, moving forward, that they're going to have big earnings move next year. So I guess you could have said we told you so. Humana is down slightly, down 1%. Humana could not, and Cigna could not agree to financial terms of a mergers and acquisition deal, and that Cigna is shifting its efforts toward a smaller acquisition. Harpoon Therapeutics files for secondary offering up to 25.8 million shares of common stock. Amazing, didn't really move too much. Usually you would see this moving down because of dilution. HCA Healthcare mentioned positively in Barron, saying shares look like a buy even as even as it underperforms stocks broadly. Fear from investors that a new class of weight loss drugs such as Ozempic, not sure how you pronounce that, will cut into its demand is subsiding. So yeah, it's up pretty good on this. Pretty good volume above its average daily volume. Smile Direct Club said it would wind down global operations effective immediately. Said its aligner treatment is no longer available through its telehealth platform, and that customer care support is no longer available. Very interesting. Yeah, it's now at 0. Can't go down much further than that. Cigna Healthcare agreed to merge with privately owned pharmacy operator CW Group, saying it would pay Australian 700 million in cash and issue sufficient new shares. This is the Australian drug supplier. Technology, media, and telecom. Sherry Redstone is in talks to sell the controlling interests in Paramount. Parent National Amusements to media and entertainment companies Skydance, Puck, and the New York Times reported Sunday. On Friday, shares of Paramount Global rallied 13% after Deadline reported Skydance and private equity firm Redbird Capital were kicking the tires on National Amusement, which has a 77% stake in Paramount. Tried to move higher and then sold off to its 200-day moving average. Not sure if that's, yeah, it's down 3.6%. People aren't thrilled with it, I guess. C Limited shares slip after reports TikTok to spend 1.5 billion taking over GoTo's Indonesia shop. Chinese firm will combine its shopping business with GoTo unit. TikTok has used Indonesia as template for global shopping push. It closed gap down big time and then rallied at the close. And finally, Pinterest upgraded to outperform from sector perform at RBC Capital, raised its price to 46 from 32. Wow. It's kind of extended here, although this is a shallow short-term consolidation. Not too much volume here, but yesterday So let's go take a look at the dollar index. Dollar continues to try to strengthen here, up 0.14%. Gold continues dropping as the dollar strengthens. Got two gap downs in a row, and silver did the same thing. We're still waiting for silver to bottom. As it falls below, it gaps down below its 50-day moving average. So it's gone down the 10, the 20, the 200, and now the 50. At some point, this will bottom, and we'll buy the rest of our shares that we're going to buy on a pullback. ERO moved up pretty strong on Friday. Had a slight pullback, 0.59% today. And we took a nice position, kind of not at the top of the range, but when it started to move up, we took our position in ERO copper. Southern Copper sold off, bounced off two of its moving averages. It looks like the 10 and 20 day, and tried to recover what it had lost, down 0.42%. FCX Freeport McMoran looks like it did about the same, bouncing off the 10-day moving average. Vale gap down and then close near its high, up 0.68%. And BHP sold off down to close to its 20-day and tried to get above its 10-day again. And finally, Rio is gapping down under its 10-day moving average, down 1.45%, down quite a bit. As we said before, this has a little over a 5% yield on its shares. So let's take a look at the bond yields. They're falling again today, down to their 10-day sliding 10-day moving average. 20 is up slightly, up 0.53%. Take a look at the volatility index. On Friday, it hit its lowest close in quite some time. Popped up today and then sold off, but it was still up 2.27%. S&P 500 up 0.39%. The equal weight S&P looked much stronger. Some pretty good volume once you take out the mega caps, where, as I showed you earlier, they're almost all of them were down today, up 0.89%. Have a broadening rally is really healthy for the market. So and this is the high beta that we've been looking at since all those big cap techs pulled back. This is, of course, going to pull back. A large portion of them are in there. And let's take a look at Fang Yu is actually up. Wouldn't expect that at all. 0.8%. That is simply amazing. I wonder what, didn't really look at Tesla. Tesla was pretty flat as well. Microsoft was down. We didn't look at Netflix. Netflix was up 1.35%. Don't tell me that Netflix carried the water for these guys, but that's the story there. The NASDAQ continues to move higher. It's breaking out here, definitely in the breakout zone. The equal weight without the big cap tech looks much like the equal weight of the S&P. This is healthy. We got some rising volume here. The Russell, which has pretty much gone nowhere, up and down, up and down, up and down, like a yo-yo, is up today, 0.21%. If you just look back on a monthly basis, look at this. It's really gone nowhere. It's kind of moved up here from 2016 and then just sold off here. Came back a little bit in the after the pandemic was kind of over, but it's really gone nowhere fast after that. So the Dow Jones keeps going up. Got a increase in volume over here. Let's take a look. Some of our ETFs. Looks like the financials broke out of a consolidation today, up 0.61%. Volume was kind of muted. Energy up slightly. Got a gap up here. And then 2 days in a row, right about the same area, although it was up 0.41% today. Real estate continues to act well. Got a long consolidation. We got a double bottom here. This was the place to buy at 35.07. Although we did have a pullback here, and then it just gapped up. Look at the volume here. So I guess this would be the day. We had a slight pullback and look at it just continue to go up. Biotech had been raising up here, got a little bit of a pullback, bouncing off of the 10-day moving average. And the IBB for a change is looking better than the XBI, is up 0.72%. Technology, we definitely got a breakout. If you didn't call Friday a breakout because of volume, look at all the volume we got today. That is amazing. IGV continues to lead. Even though Microsoft is a big portion of this, it's just amazing that this keeps just trending higher. We got the semiconductor index. Looks like we got a breakout today, helped by Broadcom on their, must have been their earnings. Take a look at that a little later. Airlines trying to hold at the 200-day moving average. Industrials. Yeah, we got a breakout, it looks like today, of industrials of this shelf pattern. Got a little shelf pattern here, broke out. Pretty good volume. See, these shelf patterns on a breakout, if you just buy them, they seem to pay dividends. Here is building materials, Home Depot, Lowe's, sort of companies that supply the home builders. Got a rise in volume over here. Trying to break out above here. So we'll just see if that continues. Mining and metals. Got a little slippage in the morning and it tried to bounce back. Look a lot better from the mining and metals that we were looking at in the commodities, that's for sure. Home builders just continue to shine. Here's where the breakout, once it came above its 50-day moving average, then it built a shelf pattern, broke out from there, another shelf pattern. Just look at all of these. One shelf pattern, another shelf pattern, breakout, and then just surges forward. So that's a look at our ETFs. I'm going to take a look at where the big money has been flowing. I looked earlier in the morning, one of our picks that I said when it was around 175 was going to move higher. So let's look at CrowdStrike first. CrowdStrike just keeps striking higher. We had tight finishes here. I wouldn't call that a shelf, but tight finishes that is breaking out again. Just got continued buying. Look at all these blue lines over here. And then Zscaler was one of the leading issues earlier, and then it kind of dropped off the charts. But it looks like we got another breakout right around 177 was the option that I bought. I believe I bought it right over here on this tight little shelf and right before earnings, and then it just kept going up. Hollis's Automation Techs got a big move today, massive volume. Got a slight little pullback, but so we got a gap up here, got a pullback over here, and then we got a gap up with much more volume. Earnings up 41%, 53% for next year. Just pull back the screen. Take a look at owners and funds. They own 48%. Fund ownership is, looks like it's been declining. Kind of bouncing around. We could examine that a little later. So let's just continue here. We got the Shake Shack. Shake Shack, number of tight closes, pretty close to a shelf pattern. Just keeps coming up over and over again. And then we got massive volume today. See, it just kept riding. It's between his 10 and 20-day moving average. Just shows that there's not a lot of selling going on. And then today, boom, it just takes off. Oracle. Whoa, we got a massive volume here. Software. Yes, we show that ETF for a reason. People continue to buy into software, whether it be Zscaler, CrowdStrike, Salesforce, ServiceNow, Microsoft. This is where all the buying is taking place. And this is one we had profiled before. FTA Aviation. Along with the war that's going on, there's a lot of buying in these issues. I believe this is sold off after the earnings came out. We'll see if this can stabilize. This had been the leader in the area. TradeWeb Markets moving up here. So it broke out over here, tried to move higher, pulled back a little bit, tried to move higher, pulled back again. And Scott St. Clair from Marketsmith. The charts that we're looking at is asking is weakness in NVDA and Tesla, Canary in the coal mine. Yeah, we had some selling going on in NVIDIA, although it didn't move too much, bounced off of the 50-day. And didn't move too much in Tesla as well. So this is something to watch, weakness in the big cap techs, although they've been holding up the market for a long time. MongoDB got a little bounce after a big pullback here, bouncing off of the 10-day moving average. So if you had shares before, maybe not the monthly, but the weekly, if you had shares over here, bought, it moved up, and then it pulled back to the 50-day moving average and bounce. William O'Neill, founder of Investors Business Daily, often suggests any bounces off the 50-day move, first bounce off the 50-day moving average is a great place to add. So we'll just have to keep our eye out on that one. ASML. Looks like we get a breakout today. Massive volume, a lot of buying. This isn't your Aunt Edna buying these shares because they're $710 a share. And to have this massive volume, earnings are up 21%, 36% this year. Snow. Once again, we go back to software. Looks like Snow is trying to break out. What are our signs over here? We got a gap up here. We got another gap up here. It holds the gap. Remember, I said as long as it holds the gap, it's safe, even though it pulls back. It pulls back, bounces up, pulls back again, and again, but it's all above the gap line. And then now it continues up. We got more buying. Look at all these blue bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we got a couple of red ones, but it didn't really move too far. ITGR, Integer Holdings. Definitely got a breakout, pretty large volume. Develops power sources and components for implantable medical devices such as pacemakers. Is this Hilton? Does look like it. Hilton continues to shine. We got gap up, closes at the high, even though the volume wasn't as strong as you wanted it to be. Just continues going up, 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 up. Got a little bit of a pullback. So things must be pretty rosy at the Hilton. See what's pulling back. Gildan Activewear. Not sure if this is activewear or not. Yes, it is activewear. And we got a huge volume spike here and a huge spike down, a little over 10%. Ramaco Resources sold off strong and then tried to fight back at the close. Keros Therapeutics down 20%. I'll show a little chart next why I think we looked at SE. Endeavor Group Holdings down 7.4%. Massive volume. Sports properties through live events experiences in the entertainment area. Z-Lab down 2.49%, bouncing off of the 50-day moving average. And in, I believe this is in software, General Wire, Guide Wire, got a slight pullback. Just continue to watch this one down 1.67%. And there are some of the stocks that I had been looking at before. We looked at Zscaler and CrowdStrike, BLTE. Let's go back here. So this is where we first had him on the show. Said this is going to resolve itself one way or the other. Powered up, was up close to 50% 5 days after we had him on the show. And look at this power. So then we got a little consolidation after a big move like this. Now it started the year around 1250. Goes up to 22. Had to consolidate a little bit after such a big move and a double, pretty much. And then it goes up to 36. Another big move. So we got a consolidation. People taking some profits, but it stays in a tight range here. The low was 28.51. And then what's it do? It breaks out again. It goes up to 40.60. And then we have, now the one thing you notice, the consolidation is a lot less than when it went up to 36.70. Now the move wasn't as big either, but it's beginning to be tighter. So it goes up here. So this is what I would call pretty close to another shelf. I guess you could call it a flat base. And then it breaks out. Breaks out above there, and now it has another tight area. This is definitely a flat base, and it looks like it was breaking out again today. Another 1.84%. This is all good. Now let's go to the other one. Other biotech we were looking at. Kind of scared us earlier today. Had a big gap down. The gap down on, not sure if this is a shakeout where big money people tried to shake people out so they can get shares cheaper. But it did definitely sell off, bounce off to the 200-day moving average, and climb back to the 20-day moving average. This was the other one that we had on the show. Kind of a tight consolidation in here. And instead of moving up, I said, just like a BLTE, this would resolve its way one way or the other, and it resolved its way down. And it came into another tight area. I guess in September, the CEO was buying a number of shares, and then it popped up. And then it consolidated slightly, and then popped up again. So I believe this is where after we sold out of this area, we got back in over here, popped up here, we added some more shares, popped up here, we added some more. And so we're debating whether get out, and we just kind of said, let's wait till see how it closes. And we'll just have to see. I tried to find news on it, couldn't find any news. So that's the story there. And let's look at Kava. Kava, due to the scare of this salad company that I can't remember the salad company, but they're going to have drive-through salad delivery. So apparently that's why this started to sell off. Over here, this was the first issue we really had in the show, and we had a prediction when it came up here to, I believe it was 41, right in this area, said this was going to take off. And then the very next day, JP Morgan puts a price on it of 49, and it takes off. Goes up to 54, continues, goes up to 58. When I pulled back to 52 over here, I said, anybody who has this should get out because IPOs generally fail. And it went from 52 to 29. And then we started accumulating around 33. And we are holding, bought a couple more shares on the pullback over here on Friday. So we'll just see what happens here. I have strong faith in this company, really like the food. And I'm in this for the long haul unless something breaks here. So that's Kava. Looked at Zscaler, CrowdStrike, and take a look at Meta. Meta was the other company. When it's bouncing around over here, said there's big investors kept coming in to buy it right around the 274 to 300. Said if the bond yield drops any, this is going to shoot up like a rocket. So it went up to 338, had a pullback to 279, up to 342 now. Tried to break out on Friday. We got a little slight pullback here. Really like Meta and Microsoft the most of all the big cap techs right at the moment. Is AI overblown like some of the big investors are saying? It's possible. Microsoft continues to get nice support right in here. It's hanging in there between the 10 and 20-day moving averages. So we'll just see if it can move up higher. It may take a while for this consolidation to take place. It's been a big move up, so it wouldn't be surprising if it takes a little while for this to change. And then a lot of it depends on our economy. Are we going to have a recession, bad recession? So in the future, we'll take a look at all the indexes and candlesticks and CCI and stochastics to kind of help guide us here. But that is our show for today. Mornings with Michael is for information and educational purposes only. If anybody has any questions about the market or anything else, oh, I forgot there was one other chart I wanted to show. This is where I believe 85% of the people should be invested in an annuity. Once it goes up, does not come back down. They'll go up again, does not come back down. Whereas in an ETF index investing, bobs and weaves with the market, you can lose money in it. You will not lose money in an annuity. And how does it perform? It performs 5% better than index investing average annual growth of 7.57%. It performs around 12.58%. Right now, annuities are giving between 40 and 45% bonuses. How long that lasts, there's no telling. But that's the end of our show. Thanks for watching. Please reach out to us if we can help you with your financial goals, and go out there and keep working your goals and your activities and keep surprising us. Have a great day. This has been Mornings with Michael.